Good morning, children. Today we are going to read and understand the third story from the supplementary reader book Footprints Without Feet. The name of the story is The Midnight Visitor. So, mysterious story. What happens? Secret agents in the story. What do they do? How do they work? Yeah, an interesting and very interesting story of how a secret agent outwit another secret agent. Let's start reading. Ozible, the central character of the story. Ozible is a secret agent. This secret agent is expecting to get a very important report tonight, midnight, right? Midnight visitor. Another secret agent, Max, threatens him with a pistol demanding that report. Does Ozible outwit him? How did Ozible, the secret agent, saves that report from being in the wrong hands of Max? Is he able to, or does he fail in doing so? Let's read the story and find out. There is one more character in the story, Fowler. Fowler is a young writer who wanted to write about Ozible. So if you want to write about somebody, you have to spend a day or two with him so as to know what kind of a life he lives, what kind of a person he is. So Fowler is that person who's spending the day with Ozible in order to know more about him. How is Ozible different from other secret agents? Who is Fowler and what is his first authentic thrill of the day? We will come to know only after reading the story. So the story begins with the description of the looks of Ozible. Ozible did not fit any description of a secret agent Fowler had ever read. Following him down the musty corridor of the gloomy French hotel where Ozible had a room, Fowler felt let down. Fowler had made up his mind. Ozible, secret agents, very quick, active, energetic, and gentle looking, smart, good looking people, quite wise people that way. But when he saw Ozible, he wasn't that much attracted towards him as a secret agent. He didn't consider him the kind of secret agent he had thought in his mind. So following him, he started following Ozible. Who? Fowler. Following him down the musty corridor. Musty corridor where you find smell of fungus, mold. The smell is there. Musty corridor of the gloomy French hotel where Ozible had a room. Fowler felt let down. That means he didn't feel encouraged that he'd meeting the right person. He felt as if, no, this is not the kind of man I was looking for. I was looking for an adventurous story. Would I be able to get? It was a small room on the 6th and top floor and scarcely a setting for a romantic adventure. Scarcely a setting for a romantic adventure. Hardly any such area, any such room where you can find any kind of exciting happening, any kind of exciting events taking place. So that is the meaning of romantic adventure. Romance means exciting. Okay, adventure, anything, such events that take place in the life of secret agents. Ozible was, for one thing, very fat, and then there was his accent. Though he spoke French and German passably, he had never altogether lost the American accent he had brought to Paris from Boston 20 years ago. Ozible must have come from US to UK, from Boston to Paris. So one thing, why did he not match with the description of secret agents, did not look like a secret agent? The question is, first and foremost question is, why he did not look like a secret agent? Because he was very fat. Secret agents, energetic, smart, all that we have made up our mind for. So he was fat. Secondly, he spoke French and German passably. Okay, well enough to be understood. Passably means you can understand. He had never lost the American accent. he had brought to Paris. There are difference in the accent. Both are English, but we know there is a difference in accent. So he had brought to Paris from Boston 20 years ago. You are disappointed, Ozible said wheezily over his shoulder. Ozible can understand that. He could understand that Fowler doesn't feel very happy to meet me. So he says, you're disappointed. You must have made up your mind regarding secret agents. They are like that, they are like this, and maybe I do not fit into your description. So you are disappointed, Ozible said wheezily over his shoulder. Wheezily with a whistling sound. He had that kind of taking breath and speaking. So wheezily over his shoulder. You were told that I was a secret agent, a spy, dealing in espionage, spying, and danger. You wish to meet me because you are a writer, young and romantic. So you want adventure in your life. You wanted to write about adventurous things and thrills that secret agents have in their life. You envisioned, you had a vision about mysterious figures in the night, the crack of pistols, drugs in the wine, some kind of those adventurous incidents you'll be witnessing. You have made up your mind, and I feel you are disappointed meeting me and not having anything of this kind. You wish to meet me because you are a writer, young and romantic, and you visioned mysterious figures in the night, crack of pistols, drugs in the wine. Instead, you have spent a dull evening in a French music hall with a sloppy fat man who, instead of having messages slipped into his hand by dark-eyed beauties, gets only a prosaic telephone call, making an appointment in his room. You have been bored. Let me explain you this paragraph. Instead, you have spent a dull evening with me in a French music hall with a sloppy fat man who's me. Instead of having messages slipped into his hand. What does it mean? That I'm smart, good looking, and some beautiful ladies are just handing over me messages. Nothing of that sort, because I'm not good looking, I'm not smart, I do not have smart looks, neither is any kind of beautiful lady interested in me. But being a secret agent, I only get prosaic telephone call. That means routine, ordinary telephone calls, making appointment with people in my room. So I think with this you have been bored. The fat man chuckled. Chuckle is to laugh. To himself as he unlocked the door of his room and stood aside to let his frustrated guest enter. You are disillusioned. That means I guess you are disappointed, Fowler. But take cheer, my young friend. So be happy. You are recently going to receive something of the kind you are looking for. Okay, the thing you want from a secret agent is about to happen, is about to arrive. Take cheer. Be good, be happy, my young friend. Presently, you will see a paper, a quite important paper. See, this is Ozible, you can see. There, behind Ozible is Fowler, the writer, and in front of Ozible is somebody we are going to talk about in the next paragraph of the story. That is Max. So with several men and women, so he's going to get a paper. He's talking about a very important paper that he's going to get today midnight, tonight. With several men and women have risked their lives come to me. So that to get that paper, to get this information, secret agents, they collect information. So they do not only collect information, secretly handle things. So this paper that Ozible was expecting tonight, for this paper, several men and women have risked their lives. This is going to come to me tonight. This important paper is going to reach me tonight. Someday soon, that paper may well affect the course of history. It can change history. It has something so important written on it. Is that in that thought is drama, is there not? So you are expecting adventure, excitement. In this thought, do you find that drama you're looking for? Is there not? He's asking. As he spoke, Ozible closed the door behind him. That means they have entered the room. After entering the room, what do? You close the door. So he closed the door behind him and then he switched on the light. The switch of the light is next to the door itself. And as the light came on, Fowler had his first authentic thrill of the day. What was that first authentic thrill? Thrill is excitement. So something exciting that was going to happen. And he is going to watch it today, the life of secret agents. Fowler had his first authentic thrill of the day. For halfway across the room, a small automatic pistol in his hand stood a man. So we have seen in the picture there is a man holding the pistol in his hand. Ausable blinked a few times. That means who's he? He is looking at that man. Max, he wheezed. That means when you take a breath and speak. Max, he wheezed. You gave me quite a start. Shock. You shocked me. You were inside the room. I thought you were in Berlin. What are you doing here in my room? So the question that arises, how has Max got inside the room? How does Ausable say he got in? Max was slender, a little less than tall, with features that suggested slightly the crafty Count. So let's know who's this Max and how has he got into the room. Max was slender, a little less than tall, with features that suggested slightly the crafty, pointed countenance of a fox. Let me explain you what we mean by crafty, pointed countenance of a fox means. With looks, he appears to be a crafty, clever person. Right? Clever and cunning person, just like a fox. There was about him, apart from this gun, nothing specially menacing. So, you cannot consider him to be a dangerous person except for the gun in his hand. There was nothing look-wise and all, nothing dangerous about him. The report, he murmured. The report that is being brought to you tonight concerning some new missiles. I thought I would take it from you. It'll be safer in my hands than in yours. So, the way they deliver dialogues, no? I thought I would take it from you. It will be safer in my hands than in yours. So, the stylish way of delivering dialogues of secret agents has been described. Max has come to take that same paper that Ausable is going to receive tonight. So concerning some new missiles. So he is thinking he has got into the room so as to have those papers only. Ausable moved to an armchair and sat down heavily. I'm going to raise the devil with the management this time and you can bet on it. Raise the devil? I'm going to protest against what is happening in my room with the management this time. I'm going to really have a fight with the management. What for? What for is Ausable saying so? Let's know this after reading. And you can bet on it, he said grimly. He said, seriously, I cannot tolerate people entering my room like this. This is the second time in a month that somebody has got into my room through that nuisance of a balcony. Fowler's eyes went to the single window of the room. Fowler also didn't understand which balcony is Ausable talking about. So he also looked at the single window in the room. It was an ordinary window against which now the night was pressing blackly, complete darkness outside. Balcony, Max said, with a rising inflection. That means raising his tone. Balcony? I didn't enter through a balcony. No, a passkey. Passkey? A duplicate key. I did not know about the balcony. It might have saved me some trouble had I known. I took a lot of trouble in getting this duplicate key, entering like you and getting into this room. It's not my balcony, Ausable said with extreme irritation. When he talks about balcony, Ausable is describing whose balcony and what balcony, why people and how people entered into his room with this balcony. It belongs to the next apartment. He glanced explanatory at Fowler, as if he is explaining Fowler and not Max. You see, he said, this room, the room I'm living right now in this hotel, used to be a part of a large unit. And the next room through that door there, he shows the door, used to be the living room. It had the balcony. That living room, the part of which my room has got separated from that only. So the balcony is a part of that room, which extends under my window also, since they were common room at that time. You can get into it from the empty room 2 doors down. 2 doors down, there are staircases or something like that. From there, you can enter into that. You can come to that balcony, and from there, you can enter into my room through this window. And somebody did the same. Maybe a thief, burglar, anybody last month did the same. And this is the second time somebody has entered through that. He means to say that Max has entered through the balcony. But Max says, no, I have entered with the help of a pass key, duplicate key. The management promised to block it off, but they haven't. So Ausable says, the management promised me they'll block this balcony, but they haven't done so. Max glanced at Fowler, who was standing stiffly not far from Ausable, and waved the gun with a commanding gesture. With the gun, as you say now, please sit down. He said, we have a wait of half an hour, I think. So you'll have to wait for half an hour till those papers arrive. 31 minutes, Ausable said moodily. It'll not be 30 minutes. Half an hour means 30. It says 31 minutes. The appointment was for 12:30. I wish I knew how you learnt about the report, Max. I wish I knew that today you would come to know about the report and you would come into my room. I wish I had known all this. I did not come to know. The little spy smiled evilly. Evil. Okay? So, as if in a evil smile of a person. Okay? Not a very happy smile. The little spy smiled evilly. And we wish we knew how your people got the report. So, he's from another country, Ausable is from another country. So, Ausable is getting that report, and Max says, I wish we knew, our people knew how your people got the report about our missiles, or as if our country is going to attack, something like that. So, what our plans are, how did you come to know? But no harm has been done. This is the statement from Anne Tildor has been said by Max. But no harm has been done. I'll get it back tonight. Tonight I've come for the same purpose. I'll get it back from you tonight. What is that? Who is at the door? Fowler jumped at the sudden knocking at the door. At the same time, somebody knocks the door. Ausable just smiled. That'll be the police, he said. I thought that such an important paper as the one we are waiting for should have a little extra protection. I told them to check on me to make sure everything was all right. So Ausable clarified who's there on the door. He said it must be police, because I had asked them to look for whatever is happening with me. Am I protected? To give me some extra protection and meet me so as to come to know things are all right at my place. So I told them to check on me, to keep a look on me and my activities so that nothing of that sort happens, to make sure everything was all right. Max bit his lip nervously. Max thought, acha, that's a police. It might catch me. The knocking was repeated. What will you do now, Max? Ausable asked. It's police on the door. You are there. How will you go out? And you are trapped now. If I do not answer the door, they will enter anyway, because they might suspect things. What will you do now, Max? Ausable asked. If I do not answer the door, they will enter anyway. The door is unlocked, and they will not hesitate to shoot. So the door is unlocked. I have only fastened the door as such. So it is unlocked. They may open it. And they will not hesitate to shoot you also, since I'm important, the papers are important for them. Secondly, if I do not open the door, they will definitely suspect something wrong happening inside. So they are definitely going to open the door. They are forcibly going to open the door. What will you do now? Max's face was black with anger as he backed swiftly, moved back towards the window. He swung a leg over the sill. He got onto the wooden platform or platform of the window. Send them away, he warned. I'll wait on the balcony. Send them away or I'll shoot and take my chances. So send the police back without informing them that I'm there to collect those papers. Otherwise, your life is not safe. Send them or I'll shoot and take my chances. Don't say that I cannot do any harm to you. The knocking at the door became louder and a voice was raised. Mr. Ausable, Mr. Ausable. So this is the scene going on. He has stepped 1 foot on the window sill of the balcony, keeping his body twisted so that his gun, this is the way, twisted is you are somewhere going to begin step somewhere else but looking at the opposite side. Max is sitting on the chair and there is Fowler. Keeping his body twisted so that his gun still covered the fat man and his guest, the man at the window grasped the frame. Grasping is holding that firmly. So held the frame firmly with his free hand to support himself. Then he swung his other leg. Swinging, moving. So then he swung. That is latkana. He swung his other leg up and over the window sill. He tried to jump through the window into the balcony. The doorknob turned. So he jumped. Swiftly, Max pushed with his left hand to free himself from the sill. So pushed with his left hand. He held the frame. Then he jumped towards the balcony. He freed himself from that sill and dropped so as to drop to the balcony. And then as he dropped, he screamed once shrilly. That means as he dropped onto that balcony, he shouted. There was a scream. Shrilly, very loud noise was made. So the door opened. By the time what had happened, there was a knocking on the door. The door opened and a waiter stood there with a tray and a bottle with 2 glasses. Here is the drink you ordered for when you returned. Sir, it was the waiter, he said, and set the tray on the table deftly, very properly, very, very neatly. Uncorked, removed the cork of the bottle and left the room. Wide-faced Fowler stared after him. So Fowler was confused. Was it the police? It was the waiter outside. He stared after him, but he stammered, the police? There were no police. Ausable sighed. Sighed is only Henry, the waiter, whom I was expecting. I was expecting him to come since I had ordered a drink when I came back. Only Henry, whom I was expecting. But won't that man out on the balcony come back and come to know about this? This is the question that he has left. He has only said, won't that man out on the balcony? Fowler began. No, Ausable said. He won't return. So this man on the balcony cannot return. You see, my friend. You see, my young friend. There is no balcony. Did you understand the twist of the story, children? He had framed the story of the balcony so as to make this man think that there is a balcony, framed a false story of the police outside so that Max gets frightened. So as thinking that there is a balcony, he jumps off from that balcony, jumps off through this window so as to jump on the balcony and hide himself. Not knowing that Ausable is truly a smart secret agent, although he doesn't look like that. Such a smart agent who framed the story of the balcony so that when Max wants to go out, he doesn't go out through the door. He thinks only of a balcony there, which I had made him to think about. When he jumped, he must have jumped out from the 6th floor down there and must have died. So Max has lost his life. There is no more now Max to come back through the balcony. It was a false story of the balcony made by Ausable. False story of the police made by Ausable. So never judge a person by his looks Although Ozible did not fit in any description of a secret agent, but the way he handled Max, the way he dealt with Max is secretly a very wise and intelligent secret agent Ozible. So if the question comes, how did Ozible outwit Max? So these 2 points, value points of a false, the story of a false balcony attached to the room through which one can enter, and the false story of the police outside the room, which was not at all police but waiter for him. This way he made him think that police has come, he has to hide, otherwise the police will catch him, and secured and kept the safety of the documents he is going to receive tonight. The midnight visitor. Who's the midnight visitor? Max. Ozible, a very smart, intelligent secret agent. Thank you. Have a nice day. We'll discuss the question answers of the book and extra questions after this.